27. Page 127 in your grammar books. 127. We are reviewing today. Okay, yeah, I see your message, Megan. Okay. So I'll record it for you and then you can watch that when you're available to watch it, okay? Okay. I was just explaining, Eliana, I don't know if you heard me, but I am not going to be here, yeah, next week. So you can come on Thursday or you can watch the recording next week. So
I heard some of it.
okay. So Thursdays at 9 or 11:30, I offer the same class. I don't know if you are busy at that time on Thursdays, but if you can come on next Thursday, not tomorrow, next week, on at either 9 o'clock or 11:30, then you can join a different class just for that week. Otherwise, if you're busy on that Thursday, then you can watch the recording of the class because I have a meeting next week. So. Okay, so we're going to review verbs. You guys already know about verbs. You're like experts on verbs. It shows action, or sometimes it links the subject to another word, or it helps another word. So you have three types of verbs here. An action verb shows action or ownership. Every once in a while, it shows that. But mostly it's action, like riding, jumping, hopping, driving, all of those types of things that you do, those are action verbs. And then there's linking verbs. Those are the ones that link the subject to a noun or an adjective, like she is pretty. So is would be like a linking verb telling she the noun or no, the pronoun or the subject of the sentence is she, linking it to an adjective pretty. So she is pretty. Is would be a linking verb. And then we have helping verbs, and those are the ones that are right next to an action verb, like was walking or will be walking to the store later today, or um, is or was are the two main ones for helping verbs next to another verb. So it helps an action verb or a linking verb, and the helping verb is always followed by another verb. Those are the three ones. You already know about those. So you're going to answer these questions orally, which means you're just going to tell me the answers. Okay. So it says, what are the linking verbs? Do you guys remember what those actually are? They are on page 55. I think we put a post-it there like forever ago. I know we have one on helping verbs. Look way back on page 55. These are the linking verbs. If you don't have a post-it on this page, this would be a good one to put a post-it on page 55. They're right here in the middle. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, seem, become, appear, grow, remain, taste, sound, smell, feel, look. Those are the linking verbs. So if you don't have a post-it on this page, I don't have one, so I'm going to write mine down. Linking verbs. I'm going to put it on a post-it. If you have a post-it, that's a good idea. If not, it's okay. You can do it later. Like this, linking verbs. And I'm just going to mark that page just so I can remember what they are. And then you should have a tab that says helping verbs. I have one here. I think we did that before. So the next question is like, what are the helping verbs? Do you have a question, Eliana? Go ahead.
Um, so on the verb that page that we're actually on, the
Yeah.
supposed to rate the apples, um, are we supposed to put a linking verb in there?
Oh, we're not on that part yet. So wait on that. Okay. Yeah. And I see you there, Sydney. I'm glad you made it. We're kind of flipping around the book a little bit. So on page 55, make sure you have a post-it there called linking verbs. Okay. Those are the linking ones that we just read. And then if you guys flip over to the helping verbs tab, that one's on page 61. And they're right here in bold. They're also at the bottom of the page too. But they are am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Those sound just like the linking verbs. They're same words. Have, has, had, do, does, did, may, might, must, can, will, shall, could, would, should. Those are a little different than the linking verbs. But these are all the helping verbs right here. Okay, that's page 61. The next question says right here, this is back on our original page, 127. The be verbs appear on both the linking verb and the helping verb lists. What are they? Those are the be words. That's what they call them anyway. And those are the words in that first row back there on page 55. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Especially be, being, been. Those are the be words. See how they're on this list too for helping? They're on both. So right here where it says, what are they? Let's write those in right here. I know I'm flipping all over the place, but I'm back on page 127. Be, being, and been. Go ahead and write those three down. Those are called the be words. The be verbs, actually, be verbs. Be, being, and been. Like, I will be going to Disneyland tomorrow. I wish, but I'm not. And then been is past tense, like, or if you, it's part of a question too, like, have you ever been to Disneyland? That would be a good question word. Have you ever been to Disneyland? And then being is more like, my dog was being crazy this morning. She kind of was, actually. We have bunnies up here, and they love to chase the bunnies. Okay. We're going to go down to this part. Are you guys back on page 127? Go back to 127. Okay, it says add helping verbs to the action verb ate to change the meaning of the sentence. There are multiple right answers. Use eat, ate, eating, or eaten. So here's the original sentence. The soldiers ate apples. And here we have a place to put our own in. We could say the soldiers will eat apples, or the soldier has been eating apples, or the soldier could have eaten apples. Any of those would work. So what do you think, Eliana? Which way do you want to say it for yours? The soldier, what?
Swallowed swallowed whole all the apples or something like that. I don't know.
Well, you're going to use that word ate.
Okay. The
So it's going
soldiers ate the apples whole.
to, and you're going to use one of these. Or, so what you're going to use is like will be eating. Does that make sense? So you're going to use that word be. So the soldier will be eating apples. That's how they want you to do it. You're going to put in one of the action with the action word eating. You're going to use a helping verb with it. So will be, those are helping verbs with eating. Okay. Or it could be, does anybody have anything different than that? The soldier will be eating apples. Does anybody have anything different? You could say the soldier has been eating apples. That's in the past. Okay, let's look at the next one here. Find the weak verb, fill in the blank with a stronger verb. That's what you were trying to do, Eliana. You were trying to change eating into a better word like gobble or munch. This one says the dwarf saw the soldiers. What's another way to say saw? The soldier or the dwarf blank the soldiers. What's another way to say that, Abby?
Noticed.
I like that. Noticed is a good one. You could say spotted or spied or found the soldiers. Any of those would work. So you get to pick which one you want to put there. So basically what you're doing is changing saw because that's actually a banned word, huh? On our writing. So we're just making it better by putting this is actually an action verb right here. Okay, after you write that down, go ahead and turn the page to page 129. This is our practice page today. Megan, how about you read the sentence today?
Okay. Are you okay, my friend? She softly chuckled.
Good. Okay. He's talking there. Are you okay, my friends? And chuckled is our vocabulary word, and that's like a soft laugh, like a like a little laugh, not a big laugh. That's what chuckled means. There's one noun. So Abby, where is the one noun?
Friends?
Friends. Good. This is a short sentence. It's really nice. Pronouns, Eliana.
He
Good.
and you.
And you. Good. We don't see that very often, but yes, it's you. That is another pronoun. And then there's two adjectives, Sydney. Do you know where those are? Like, whose friends are they?
My and softly.
Softly is going to be an ly adverb, so we're not going to mark that as an adjective. But there's a word up at the beginning that's asking about how they feel. Do you see that one?
Is it okay?
It is okay. Very good. That's a new one for us. We haven't used that as an adjective before, but okay is a feeling. Are you okay? Like, is everything okay? And I know we ask that sometimes. And then the ly adverb, Abby. Actually, Megan, I'm sorry, it's Megan's turn. Where's the ly adverb, Megan?
Softly.
Very good. And then Abby, where are the verbs? There's two verbs in here.
Um, chuckled?
Chuckled is one, and then the other one is like a question word.
Friends? Or no,
No,
art.
it's are. Are is a verb. That's one of actually the linking verb. Are you okay? So it's linking you and okay here, even though it's first. It's first here because it's actually a question, right? Are you okay? Okay, and then the subject is what is it, Eliana? There's two subjects here.
You
Yes.
and he.
Yes, good. Yes, you got it. And we don't have any prepositional phrases or anything like that, so that's good. One capital, that's easy, their first word here. And then we have two end marks. So Sydney, there's two. What do we need to put here?
So at the end, after chuckled,
Yeah.
and then
What do I put there? A period or a question mark or what?
um, a period.
A period there, and then where else? We need another end mark in there. I see your hand, Eliana. Let's let her try to find it. I saw Abby's too.
After friends.
And what kind of an end mark goes there?
A a question.
There you go. Is that what you guys were going to say too? Yeah. So the question mark goes here after friends. Are you okay, my friends? It's a question mark. And then he softly chuckled, period. All right. That was pretty easy. Not too bad. Eliana?
Do we have a tutor today?
Yes, we do. And your time is, I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, 2 o'clock today.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're done with grammar. You can put away your grammar books. Okay. And then go ahead and get out your binders. You guys have been working on Antarctica. You got done with that. You got your 3 paragraphs done. And we do have a little bit of time if anybody wants to read their paragraphs about Antarctica. Eliana, you want to read yours? And Abby, I see your hand there. Anybody else want to read their stories or their papers? That's okay if you don't feel like it. So I'll start with Eliana and then Abby, you can read yours. Do you need me to pull it up or oh, you have it. Okay, good. So whenever you're ready, Eliana, and tell us your title too if you remembered to put a title there.
I didn't put a title yet.
Okay, so you can think about that after you read it and maybe make one, okay?
Can I choose whichever one I want to do first?
You did 3 paragraphs, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you got to read them in order. The first paragraph was about ice, and then whatever.
Yep, and then the second one was weather.
Yeah.
Third was animals and plants.
Oh, I see. So really what you should do next time is put the paragraphs together. Does that make sense? Instead of on separate pages, it should be like one paper. So you do one
Yeah,
paragraph.
because I don't like risking like running out of space on my page, so I just do like separate papers just in case.
I understand. And that's okay if you keep going, like you can turn it over on the back and then keep going. But next time I do want it all together, okay? But it's okay you did it that way this time. So yeah, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start.
All right. So my first one is Antarctica is a place that is extremely cold. It is the fifth largest continent in the world. It I it also has a desert. Because the snow desert is so cold, the snow piled up for a century, which is 100 years, and reaches for over a mile. Scientists believe that most of the ice in the world is found in Antarctica.
Okay,
My
good. Keep
second,
going.
my second one. Antarctica. Antarctica's weather is coldly freezing. Scientists, which are worried, believe that warmer temperatures will cause ice to melt and the sea level will rise up to 200 feet. The coldest recording was recorded in 1983. Because the air was cold, it was recorded. Cold, not hot. A blizzard will not cause snowfall in Antarctica. Powerful winds can reach 100 miles per hour.
Good. Okay, keep going on the third paragraph, and then we'll give you a clap at the very end.
The last one.
Okay.
In Antarctica, some plants and animals live freely. Because extreme conditions occur, only a few animals live. Two certain flowers, plants, live and grow in the summer and die in the winter. Penguins have adapted to this harsh climate.
Mm.
Seals and whales can be found there. In Antarctica, while which, penguins for food can escape the harsh weather by swimming. That's my last one.
Good. Let's give her a clap, you guys. Very nice. Woohoo! And you can do the emojis. You guys remember how to do that one? The emojis. Yay! So good job, Eliana. I really like it. There was one thing in the first paragraph I heard you say, and I think it was coldly freezing. Coldly.
Extremely cold is in the first paragraph.
I remember you using the word coldly. Did
Yeah,
you? Yeah, okay. So coldly is not really an ly adverb. So I'm trying to think of what you could put there. Maybe
freezingly cold.
no, maybe really freezing or really cold or extremely cold or extremely cold would work. Extremely freezing doesn't really work. Does that make sense? So you might need to fix that part. But other than that,
Yeah,
I
I did. I just
okay,
did.
good. Awesome. Good job, Eliana. I really like it. I heard a lot of great dress ups in there and your topic clinchers. Good job. Okay, Abby, whenever you're ready, if you have a title, you can tell us that. And by the way, Eliana, use your very, very last sentence to come up with a title, okay?
Um, Amazing Antarctica. Antarctica is covered in ice and is extremely cold. It is twice the size of Australia, which makes it the fifth largest continent. It is the biggest desert in the world. Scientists estimate over 90% of the world's ice is in Antarctica because it is a cold desert. The coldest temperature ever recorded was in 1983, and in the South Pole was 128.6 Fahrenheit. Cold ice surrounds Antarctica. Antarctica has very little plants and animals. There are only about 2 flowering plants in Antarctica. King penguins, emperor penguins, and snow petrels live there, which means they have to fight harsh climates. Seals and whales are the only mammals found in Antarctica. They search for food and avoid severely high winds while swimming in the ocean. They migrate north to warmer regions because temperatures drop. There is very little life in Antarctica. John Davis was most likely the first person to step foot on Antarctica in 1821. Racing Robert Scott, Roald Amundsen reached the South Pole first in 1911. In summer, 4,000 to 5,000 people come to Antarctica, including researchers and tourists. People who explore there risk injury, possibly even death because of how cold it is. Many explorations have happened since John Davis first set foot on Antarctica.
Nice. Woohoo. Come on, guys. Give her a clap in the camera and emojis. Very, very good. I really like it. Nice job, Abby. I like how you practice looking at your paper and looking up to read it. I know we did that early on in class and we haven't really been practicing that much, but I don't know if you guys noticed that, but she looks up, which is a lot more engaging with the people that are listening. So I like that. That was really nice. Good job. I heard a lot of good dress ups in there. Oh, when you mentioned the temperature, did you remember to put a negative symbol next to it? Because it's like a minus sign next to it. That means it's like below 0. You got that on there? I wanted to make sure because it made it sound like it was 128 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be hot actually. So make sure you put that little negative symbol in there for that. Very good, you guys. I'm so proud of you guys both. And I know Sydney's still working on yours and Megan. Once you guys get that done, you can have a turn sharing it too. So, okay. So we are actually done with Antarctica. If you're still working on it though, for Sydney and Megan, you keep it in your front pocket until you're done with it, okay? But the rest of you can go ahead and put it away in your finished compositions, your finished work folder or binder or whatever you're using for that. And then you're going to get out the next lesson, which is week 12, and it's going to be in your binder. And it's called Marco Polo. Marco Polo. Have you guys ever heard of that one when you're swimming in the swimming pool? It actually is a real person. We're going to learn about this guy. So go ahead and get out week 12. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. Marco Polo. Marco Polo. I remember playing that. And then you do need to have a piece of lined paper. So make sure you get a piece of clean lined paper out too. So week 12, Marco Polo is 4 pages long, and then you do need a piece of lined paper. Okay. Give me a thumbs up when you have all your stuff ready. I see that. Good. Good. Week 12, Marco Polo, 4 pages. and then a piece of lined paper. Got it, Megan? Okay, good. How about you, Eliana? You got it? Okay, good. We're going to start by taking some notes here. So get your lined paper out first. And you know what to do here. Put your name, and then today's date is 3/5/25. And then skip a line. We're going to call this Marco Polo. And we're going to set up your outline first. So this is your keyword outline. So put KWO on here and skip a line. And we're going to do 3 paragraphs. You're going to focus just on the first one this week. So don't worry. You can do 1 this week and then 2 next week. Do Roman numeral 1 and then 1 through 5. Make sure you line it up nice and neat. Don't forget clincher and topic. I know I'm going kind of fast. I'll give you guys time to catch up, okay? But you're going to do that for Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3. And don't forget to write that clincher and then topic next to the Roman numeral. So that's how it should look. And then when you got that down, give me a thumbs up. Okay, see that? And while you're finishing that, this is going to be like Antarctica, where we only have one article to look at. So we have to find possible topics that you're going to write about, and then you're going to decide what topic about Marco Polo are you going to put for paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and paragraph 3. So this week we're only focusing on paragraph 1. We're going to do 2 and 3 next week, but it's good to have it ready to go here. So like I said, Marco Polo is actually a real person, even though the game that we play in the swimming pool is just more for fun. But you're going to learn why we play that, why it's called Marco Polo when you're in the pool and you're like, Marco Polo. And you know how you call out Marco if you have to have your eyes closed, right? Or a blindfold on or something. You have to close your eyes. And then your friends have to say Polo, and then you have to try to tag them in the water without opening your eyes. Give me a thumbs up if you've played that game before. Awesome. Pretty much everybody has. Good. Um, and then there's fish out of water. You know, if you think your friend is out of the water, standing on the side, you say fish out of water, and then they're like, ah, you got me. And then you guys switch, and then your friend becomes the one saying Marco, and then you say Polo. Yeah. Okay, so let's turn this over to the back side here. On your notes, turn your lined paper over. I'm going to have you take some notes up here. On the top line, I want you to write down summarizing a reference, and then put the word steps underneath that. Remember, we talked about summarizing a reference. My E looks kind of funny there, but that's an E, okay? Reference. Summarizing is when we tell some of the information. So we're going to read a lot about Marco Polo, but when you write your paper, you're only going to tell some of the information, SOME, because that's what a report is. You're going to do a report on Marco Polo. And there's some steps to planning this. to planning your summarizing your reference. And the first step, number one, is put the word subject. And then you're going to put a colon, and it's going to be Marco Polo. Oops, P-O. Sorry, having a hard time spelling today. P-O-L-O. So the first step is to know what your subject is. Last time it was Antarctica. That was your subject. This time your subject is Marco Polo. And then the next step, number two, is possible topics. We have to figure out what are the possible topics that we can write about Marco Polo. So what we're doing is summarizing a reference or telling some information, and these are the steps. Number one, you have to know what your subject is. The subject we know this week is Marco Polo. And then the second thing we need to do is come up with possible topics. Now, just like we did with Antarctica, we read the article and then we put in the margin what we think that paragraph is mostly about. Right? Remember that? And we marked on there like ice or plants and animals or weather. Remember how we marked in the margin? We're going to do the same thing for this article. It's pretty long. I don't know if you looked at it, but it's pretty long. So let's go to the first page of the article because the next step is finding the possible topics. So that's what we're going to do next. Did everybody get that? Did you get that, Megan? Did you write it down? Okay, good. Go to page 99. This is the article about Marco Polo, and we're going to read it. And as I'm reading it, I want you to try to find things that stand out to you again. You know how you look for those interesting facts inside the paragraphs? Each paragraph should have about 5 facts that you underline. So you're going to focus on underlining as I read this. So I'm going to read. You guys underline the things that are either important or interesting to you. So I'm going to read it. It says, in 1254, that was probably like 800 years ago. Actually, more than, well, let's see. 7, 8, yeah. It was a little less than 800 years ago. So a long time ago. In 1254, Marco Polo was born into a rich merchant family. His father and uncle had traded in the Middle East for years, gaining wealth and fame. So a merchant is somebody who buys and sells products or goods, like food, like meat and rice and spices, or things like wood or things to build what you need to build things. Okay. So a merchant is somebody who buys and sells things, and he was wealthy. Okay. Although his mother died when he was young, he was raised in Venice, Italy by relatives. He received a good education and learned the skills necessary for the business of trade. His father and uncle left for China when he was 6 and returned when he was 15. Wow, that would have been hard, huh? They had met the Mongol emperor who sent his greetings to the Pope. And the Pope is a leader in the Catholic Church. Have you heard about the Pope before? He's a leader in a church, in a Catholic church. And the emperor is the leader in China, right? He's like the president of China, the emperor of China. Okay, so hopefully you got to underline a few things in there. And now we're going to label these paragraphs. And this is basically talking about Marco Polo's early life, like when he was born and what his life was like when he was a child. So on the side here next to that paragraph, I want you to put early life. Because we're talking about Marco Polo here. See how I put it early life like that. Next to that first paragraph, that's talking about his when he was born and what it was like when he was a child. So that's the main topic for that paragraph, okay? We're going to do this as we go, but on your notes here under possible topics that we started earlier, go ahead and write early life because that is the first paragraph. So we're going to make a list here under where it says possible topics. Okay. So we're going to do both. We're going to do two things. We're going to put the note on the paragraph next to it and make a list here. Possible topics, early life. Okay. I'm going to keep going now. This is a longer paragraph. I'm going to read this one. Try to underline at least 5 facts as we go that stand out to you, okay? When Marco was 17 years old, he left with his father and uncle on a trip across Asia to China. They set off from Venice in 1271 and sailed to Israel. So he got on a big ship with his dad and uncle. Okay, they got on a big ship and they sailed from across Asia to China. And they sailed all the way to Israel, which is, I'll show you on a map where that is. They carried letters from the Pope in Rome. In Jerusalem, they were given some sacred oil to present to the Mongol emperor. 2 friars, those were also people who worked in the church. Okay, they helped poor people, were ordered to accompany the merchants, but they abandoned the expedition, meaning they left. Okay, instead of sailing around India to China, the Polos decided on an overland route, passing through Iran and then Afghanistan. They continued east. The Polo's caravan traveled over mountains and through deserts, following the oasis. After more than 3 years of travel, they finally reached the court of the Emperor Kublai Khan. That's the name of the emperor, Kublai Khan. I'll give you a second to finish underlining some stuff that you thought was interesting. You should have about 5 things in each paragraph. This paragraph was mostly about his travel to China. So I'm going to call this one travel on the side here. Travel to China. Go ahead and write that next to that second paragraph. Travel to China. That's what it was mostly about. And then we're going to add that to our possible topics list. This is how it works. Travel to China. So we're making a list of all the things that we're discovering in this article. Okay. So that first paragraph is about his early life. The second paragraph is about his travel to China. Okay, got that? Okay, we're going to go on to the back of that page now. Keep going here. It's a long article. We're going to keep going. The Great Khan was delighted. Sorry, let me get my paper here. To see the Polo brothers again. This is page 100 on the back of that other page. Keep underlining, by the way, about 5 for each paragraph, okay? He received with joy the letters and gifts they bought. Discovering that young Marco was intelligent and had a talent for languages, the Khan appointed him to high posts in the government, probably a tax collector. He also went on special missions for the Khan, traveling throughout China and to Burma and India. His father and uncle possibly assisted as military advisors during the siege of Saianfu. During this time, Marco and his family gained wealth as well as the favor and protection of the Khan. So remember, the Khan was the emperor. He was at the top. He was a very powerful and important man. And as he is traveling around on these special missions by ship throughout China and Burma and India, so the siege of Saianfu, we don't really know who Saianfu was, or maybe it's a place, but basically they took it captive. Okay, they claimed it for themselves. Let me look and see what Saianfu is. I can't remember if it's a person or a place. Let me look really quick. Saianfu. Hold on, I didn't spell it right. It's Saianfu. Saianfu. Okay, it's a place in China. Saianfu. Not a person, so that kind of helps. Okay, so hopefully you underlined some things there. It's part of his mission, what he did while he was in China. So I'm going to call this actually his work in China because he actually did work there. Remember, he hired him, he appointed him as a high post in the government. So I'm going to put work in China. This is mostly talking about the work that he did in China. Go ahead and add that to your topics lists. Work in China. So it's a little bit different than writing about Antarctica because we're writing about a person and why he's important. So far we know he's traveled a lot by ship, and I think that's where they came up with the game in the swimming pool because Marco was going everywhere. Maybe people didn't know where he went. So it's like a hide and seek type game. The next paragraph on 100, the polos remained in service. Oh, Eliana, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say something about the game Marco Polo. Is that okay?
Actually, can we wait till the end? Because I do want to hear it. So try to remember it at the end because I got to keep going here. But thank you. The
Mhm.
polos remained in service to the Khan for 17 years. So he worked for him for 17 years. When they decided to leave, he asked them to escort a Mongol princess to Persia, where she would marry. So there was a princess in China, and they wanted them, when they left, to take this princess back to Persia, which is a different country, so that she could get married. This was the days when, the parents would arrange marriages. Like you didn't have any say in it. You had to marry whoever your parents said you had to marry. Those days aren't like that anymore. But that's,
Like in the movie Brave.
yeah, like in the movie Brave. That's right. They departed with 14 ships, the princess, and many hundreds of servants and sailors. Sailing south, they rounded Malay and the southern tip of India to finally land at Hormuz in Persia. So this is just telling their route, how they went to Persia. The journey took 2 years. So for 2 years, they're sailing on the ocean out there. And most of the passengers and crew died from disease. That's because back then they didn't have good medicine for cruise on ships. And then once you're out there in the middle of the water, there's no way to get medicine really. So a lot of them sadly died drowning or pirate attacks. So they either had a disease or they drowned or they died from pirate attacks. This is back when pirates were a real thing out there on the ocean. After delivering the princess, they continued by land to the Black Sea from where they were able to sail home, reaching Venice in 1295. They had been gone for 24 years and traveled almost 15,000 miles or 24,000 kilometers. Man, that's a big trip. Even though they stopped by Persia to drop off this princess, they still ended up going home. So I'm going to call this the travel home. So they stopped by Persia on the way home. So we're going to call this one travel home. Okay. Since we are kind of running out of time, we're going to save the rest of the article for next week. And we're going to talk about a couple things here. So after work in China, put travel home on your list. And we will read the rest of the article next week. So go ahead and write that down. I'm just making a note for myself so I can remember that. Okay. So we got a lot of the paragraphs figured out, and these are the possible topics here. And whenever you're writing about a person, it's always good to start with a little bit about who they are, like a little bit about their early life. So that's the topic I want to start with for this week. And then next week you can pick a different topic, but go ahead and circle early life on your topic list there. Eliana, do you have something new to say? Or is that from earlier? Okay, that's okay. So we're going to focus on Marco Polo's
Yep,
early life.
so
Okay.
I was just wondering, while we still have like time, maybe like we could do roses and thorns or something.
I know you like to do that. I hope we have time. It's hard because we have so much to go over, but let's see if we do, okay? Maybe we can stay on a little bit later or something. All right, so did you guys circle early life? That was the first paragraph of the paper. And so what I'm going to have you do here on your outline, remember the pattern is we start with the subject, and the subject is Marco Polo. So go ahead and put that in Roman numeral 1 here. And we're going to focus on his early life, which is basically when he was born. So it says in that very first sentence here that he was born into a rich merchant family. You see that very first sentence here in 1254. So I'm going to actually put that here, 1254, born, and then I'm going to put that word rich. So we have Marco Polo. We're counting that as one word because that's his name here. Born rich. And then I'm going to put people here like his family. That's how I'm going to represent family. If you want to put fam, F-A-M, to help you remember that that's family, you can do that. But we're talking about his early life. We're going to focus in on his early life on this first paragraph. Okay, so when you guys are working on your outline this week, only get your information from early life. Don't worry about the other paragraphs. You're only going to focus on this one, the first one in your article. Okay, you're going to talk about how his father and uncle, how they traded. You're going to talk about how his mother died when he was young. So looking at that paragraph, did you guys get a chance to underline some things in paragraph 1? Okay, good. So let's start filling this out. We already have kind of the first sentence taken care of, right? So what is something else you have underlined, Eliana, in the first paragraph? And the rest
I
of you,
finished my whole thing.
you mean you already wrote down your keywords and everything?
Well, the paragraph one.
You mean you
So,
finished this here?
yes.
Oh, wow. That was quick. You must have been working on it while I was reading.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't go too fast because you might miss some stuff. So, what is one of the things you put down as like, what did you put for regular number one here?
Father, uncle traded, and I put like a, a picture of a trophy that says fame and a stack of money.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a good one. Father, uncle, and you guys can copy that or you can put something different if you want. You don't have to use this one. Traded. I think I'm going to put ME for Middle East too, because that's where they traded. And then I like the money idea, so I'll try to draw some dollars here for wealth, a stack of money. You can copy mine, or if you have a different way of putting it or a different fact, that's okay too. So everybody's can be a little bit different. You don't have to write it exactly like how I'm writing it. Um, Abby, what's something else that you underlined in that first paragraph?
Although his mother died when he was young, he was raised in Venice, Italy by relatives.
Okay, good. We might need to put that in two different numbers because that's kind of a lot of information, huh? Did you already write it down in your outline? No? What if we just did that first part for number two? His mother died when he was young. How could we put that into 3 words? Oops, you're muted.
Mother died young.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I don't like that, but that's a good way to put it. Poor guy. That would be hard. Oops. NG. Mother died young. And then what could we do for the second half of that sentence? Abby.
Maybe like raised Venice, Italy, and then like we could draw a picture of him with other people.
Yeah, or maybe could we put IT for Italy, maybe? And then we can use the word relatives. That's probably how I would do it, but whatever makes sense to you, you put it the way you want to put it. If you want to draw a picture of relatives, that's okay too. Okay. And like I said, you guys can have it different. I know Eliana already finished hers, so hers is going to look different than ours. But if you like what we put here, you can copy it. So either way, it's up to you. How about Sydney? What is another fact that you have? Just about his early life.
Receive education and necessary.
Okay. Necessary for the business of trade. What if we use received ed and then necessary for trade? Because that's kind of important that he was trading. So that's what they call it. It sounds like trading, like I think of trading like trading cards or something. Like when you're playing a game, it's like I'll give you this if you give me that. Like I don't know if you guys ever did that with like toys or anything with your friends. You trade toys or trade something. But what it really means back then in the 1200s, 1254, was buying and selling. So it involved money. Like whatever he had, he sold, and then they sold something back to him. Or, and sometimes they would even just sell straight across. Like he has maybe a big box of potatoes and somebody else has a big bag of rice. So he's like, I'll trade you these potatoes for that bag of rice. And then you can trade like that too. So, and then the last one, Megan, did you come up with anything different as a fact from the first paragraph? What's something else from the first paragraph?
Mine is a lot different.
What did you put? Oh, you don't have it yet? Okay, that's okay, Megan. Look at your paragraph right here. I think this is important to include. You see where it says his father and uncle left for China when he was 6 and returned when he was 15? How can we put that in the outline? Do you have a way that we could put that? Good, but how can we're going to focus just on this one. His father and uncle left for China when he was 6 and returned when he was 15. How can we put that information right here in?
We could do China, and then we could write 6 to remember he's 6. Then we could put
Okay.
return. Then we could put number 15.
Yeah, I like that. We might need to talk about his father and uncle. Um, we could do, because we talked about the father and uncle up here. What if we circle F and U up here? And we do F and U here. And then left, I like your idea, China. I'm going to draw an arrow so it doesn't sound like
Oh,
he,
I did F and U too. Huh.
I put an arrow like he left to go to China when he was 6. I like that using the number. That's good, Megan. And then returned, and then at 15, when he was 15. And this is talking about Marco Polo. So when you write this, it wasn't the father and the uncle that were 6 years old, right? It was Marco Polo that was 6 years old. So when you write that, make sure you include that. Okay, so we're going to save 2 and 3 for next week. So you're just going to focus on this one paragraph this week, and don't forget about your checklist. You've got to use that when you write your paragraph, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 dress up words in there still, and your topic clincher. So your homework is to write paragraph 1 about Marco Polo using those dress up words and your topic clincher. You should be pretty ready to go now because you have all your information there. All right. I know we're out of time. I know Eliana wants to do roses and thorns. But before we do that, is there anybody that has any questions about the homework this week? No, no questions? All right, let me turn this off. And then let me turn this off here.